Hi. Landon is that good-looking guy in the blue t-shirt.
Glad that this seems to be coming in a much more positive Okay, I'll see you after the meeting. How are you? You're back. That's unfortunate. It looked like you were having amazing adventures. Well, welcome back to 104.
Hey, there, you ready? You're recording your live.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. That's the way to live.
All right, guys, you ready to start it? Does everybody want a seat? Tina, you're gonna sit, yeah? You get a sit?
Sure. You're welcome.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the Sugar House Community Council. Hope everybody's staying somewhat cool. My name is Landon Clark. I'm the chair of the council. I'd like to thank the Neighborhood Hive again for hosting us as usual. Please support them. We're going to get started with the fire department. So, 2 seconds.
I'm actually a really loud talker, so I don't think I need the microphone. I do not have a lot for you. I apologize. This is not my home station. I work in Rose Park most of the time. If you have any specific questions to Sugar House, I probably won't be able to answer them for you. But I do have a message from the fire chief. We're in the process of doing our strategic plan. So every 5 years, we sit down as a fire department and figure out where we're at, what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, the opportunities that we have, and the threats that we have to the fire service, and specifically the threats to Salt Lake City. Chief Lieb is looking for input from the residents of Salt Lake to figure out what you guys think that we're doing right, what you think we're doing wrong, where you think we could improve, and what threats there are out there besides maybe some of the obvious ones like wildland when it's the middle of summer up in the hills, flooding when we've had a big snow year, anything else that you can think of that you think the fire department can work on, or things that we're doing well. I have a QR code that anybody is welcome to go ahead and scan, and that's how you fill out the questionnaire. I apologize, our printer was run out of ink and I only have one. I'll leave it up here if that's good, and then anybody that wants to can scan it, or you can always go to slcfire.com and it'll be right there as you start kind of scrolling through our website. You'll see it right there. And I believe it's a pretty quick questionnaire, and once you submit it, Chief Lee will see it, and it is completely anonymous. So you're welcome to put in there whatever you'd like to put in there. That is all I have for you. Like I said, this is not my normal area. Anybody is welcome to ask me any questions they'd like to. I just don't know if I can answer. Go ahead.
Is the current strategic plan
for 2024 through 2029? We're just in the process of finishing our last 5 years. That was 2019 to 2024.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So the prior years to now.
To now.
Is that plan?
Yeah,
online?
and we're starting a new one.
Right.
2024 through 2029.
Right.
We do them in 5-year sections. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, when it comes to all the fireworks that happen, I live on Westminster. I mean, a lot of the houses are so close together, and every time, people are letting off fireworks. Like, what happens when that gets in the tree, and the trees are getting spread to houses? My personal thought is I wish aerial fireworks were not allowed. The city and the county have done a good job posting restrictions where you're not allowed to have them. But that being said, we don't have any enforcement power. I can't physically go out and stop anybody. The police can if they can get to them. But oftentimes by the time they've been called in, they've already been lit. And sometimes the people are already back inside and there's really nothing that can be done. But yeah, aerial fireworks are tough. I wish we could go back to, 10 years ago when we didn't have them, but they are a thing now, and we just try to do the best we can by posting where you're restricted from shooting them, and then try to hope people use common sense and don't shoot them in those areas. Yeah.
What was the fire behind the Capitol that started that fire?
It was actually, I don't think it was fireworks. I think it was power lines, but that is still under investigation. That is the best guess that I've heard, is that it was possibly that power lines arced and the arc hit the ground and lit the hill on fire. But until they get done with their investigation, we won't know for sure. But yeah, they do not think it was firework caused. Any other questions I can answer? Yes.
So, I noticed on Twitter, during that inflamed fire, there was a page that was put out saying, "Do not fly with drones." Act drone, do not fly. They got planes in the air.
Right.
But was that a problem? And does there need to be more sort of non-aerial, just the dangers of that?
Yeah, I don't know if it was a problem or if they just sent it out preemptively to try to keep people from flying them, but definitely because of the planes that are dropping the fire retardant, that could become a problem. Or it drops fire retardant on your drone and you lose your drone. But definitely, yeah, we don't want those running into the plane. That'd be bad news. Any other questions? Okay, well, thanks for letting me speak, and I hope you guys have a good night.
Thank you, guys. All right, Detective Fallows, you want to come up?
There's that QR code.
Okay, we'll put the QR code near the front.
Okay, I'm Detective Sam Fallows, your guys' community liaison for Sugar House, and really for like half the city, but for Sugar House specifically. So, as your liaison, some of the things that I do is report on crime stats. I recognize like a lot of people in the crowd, so most of you probably know me already. So we're going to go over a couple of things tonight. First, we'll just kind of start with the stats for the month of July. So we always go on the last month, so we get the full month of crime stats. So for the month of July, we had 91 total reported crimes. Most of those were property related. That's what we kind of tend to see a lot more in this area, is property related crimes. The violent crime is all pretty much down in this area and across the city right now, which is actually really good. But for the property crimes, those are actually down quite a bit as well overall. But we saw kind of a trend of like regular type thefts and then vehicle burglaries. So vehicles get broken into over the month of July. So we had about 70 calls. Of those 91, 70 of them were for those property type related calls. So, and again, keep in mind, Sugar House is a very large area. Okay, so that sounds like a lot, but it's really, you have tons of businesses here. You have tons of retail and things like that. So it's relatively not that much. So to just give you an idea, total property crime is down 32% right now over the 3-year average. So, and over the year we're down 22%. So it is a lot, but it's not like a lot. It's down. So that's good. Not to scare anybody, right? And then again, the violent crime is down also like 40% right now pretty much across the board. So we're doing good in Sugar House, thanks to you guys, and making sure that, you know, we're staying on our toes, the police department, things like that. We've been focusing a lot on some of our hotspot areas, and so I want to kind of talk about Fairmount Park a little bit. Everybody kind of knows Fairmount Park's kind of been a bit of a hot spot lately, but hopefully if you've been there in the last like couple weeks or so, you've noticed it's like a lot nicer here lately, you know? And so we've been putting in a lot of effort with that park, and we're talking like from the state level on down with our state partners, with the chief, with Councilmember Young, with myself, just like almost at every level, we've been working on that together to kind of help, number one, bring resources to those who are experiencing homelessness in the park. And then number two, you know, we kind of have levels with it. Like if they want resources, then we'll help them, we'll give them the resources, and we'll you know, get them out that way. But if they don't, then we have other ways to do it that are still respectful, but that are basically like, hey, you cannot have a camp. You cannot have all this property strewn about, all these things, you know. And so we're kind of taking a harder stance on that kind of stuff, trying to, again, still be compassionate, but like firm with either a citation or something like that if they're refusing to do what they're supposed to be doing with the park. Because parks have rules, and we all need to follow them, right? So we're trying to do a better job at making sure that everybody does that. And again, I think if you've been to Fairmount recently, you've seen that it's gotten a lot better. So, so that's one thing we've been working on recently. And then I want to discuss as well the Sugar House Coffee. Lyndon?
Oh, sorry. Did you guys hear the news? Have you seen the news about Sugar House Coffee? Okay.
No.
Tam's gonna address it, but we have Emily Potts here. She's the owner of Sugar House Coffee. So, Tam's gonna talk about it.
Yeah, so they,
There's a KSL article today.
I'm gonna bring it up, yeah. So I'm sure that there's been other businesses as well that have been dealing with some of these issues. And so I just kind of want to highlight this as like a general thing. So Sugar House Coffee has recently had some like vandalism with like graffiti, things like that. And then most recently had their fence smashed by a vehicle, like a hit and run. And so I want to just talk a little bit to like the business owners specifically in the crowd, if there are any of those, besides Sugar House Coffee. So as part of my job as the community liaison, and we have a business one as well, that all he does is just business. We do what we call CPTED, and that's crime prevention through environmental design. That's what that stands for, CPTED. And what we do is and there's a completely free service that we do as just part of our jobs. We go to a week-long training to kind of learn how to do this. I had to go to the one in Salt Lake. There's one in Vegas I wanted to go to, but they said no. I don't know why, but I had to go to the one in the U, so, it was still fun. So yeah, exactly. You have to try it, But yeah, so you go through this week-long course. You learn like all the different concepts, and essentially what we do is we come through, do kind of walk through your business. We'll look at like lighting, cameras, security, things like that, and give you some ideas on where we could improve to maybe help mitigate some of these problems. Of course, it's not going to mitigate all the issues, but for instance, lighting is like the number one way to help prevent crime, either at your home, your business, or anywhere really, especially at night. So if you have a lot of lighting, then people tend to stay away from that area. And not always, right? But it can help. So that's something we offer as a police department and as community liaison detectives, both myself and then Detective Cassidy, he's the business liaison. We can come out and do that. So Landon has all my contact information on the website and everything. Please reach out to me if you're having any of these issues like Sugar House Coffee's been having with even like the vandalisms, things like that, so that we can come out and at least take a look and see like what we can do to try and mitigate some of it and help, make sure it's getting reported. That's another big thing too. If you're having the smaller, pettier crimes that don't seem super important, still report them, because I need to know about it as your liaison, because I can take those numbers and I can go back to my bosses and say, hey, this is an issue here, and here's what I have to prove it. We've had 17 vandalisms in 2 weeks. That's a major issue. So let's get our bike unit to go up there and do some extra patrols or make arrests or do something, Or I can say, hey, we've had like 16 bike thefts in this neighborhood in the last month, so let's get a bike op with the theft unit and have them go up there and do a bike op. We'll do those things, but we got to have numbers to back it up because we're a very large city, right? So everything we do is kind of, we have to back it up with like statistics.
So when we do have just the little issues, we have almost a, like just a dispatch or what?
Yeah, you could do that. There's a couple ways that you can do it that still help me be able to have that like pin on the map. If there's no suspect information and no real follow-up information, like you don't really have video of it or something like that, I think the easiest way to do it is just do an online report, because you can do that at any time. And it's just slcpd.com, and it's like a big blue button at the very top that says click here to file online report. And then you can do it like vandalisms, frauds. I mean, there's lots of things you can do under there. I think there's about 16, 17 different types of online reports you can do. But again, that's more for like no suspect info. Like you wake up the next day and you're like, oh crap, someone, vandalized my building or something like that. Or my house, or anything like that, where I woke up and my kid's toy is stolen. I'll leave it up to you. You be judicious on what you want to report, what you don't want to report. But I like to have the numbers because again, it helps me drive the resources. So just take that for what it's worth. Yes.
I'd like to see you write a paragraph about that. But then if you put it in our newsletter.
Were you eavesdropping earlier?
No.
Because that's what Landon asked me to do, so I'm going to do that.
I just think we should have it in our newsletter so that the rest of Sugar House.
100%. Great minds think alike,
That's what I
right? I'm just here to
Well, that's
subscribe.
what I'm
Great minds think alike.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. We're going to do that for sure. I'm going to send them an email tomorrow with like a paragraph of something of what I just said. And then again, any business can reach out, or homes too. Like if you want your home and you're like, hey, I just maybe I can improve. I'm happy to come do that as well. So, any other questions? Yeah.
So I'm curious about traffic, because I probably haven't seen many, if any, traffic cops probably since COVID. But I see lots of people driving too fast or driving crazy or really loud cars and motorcycles. And I'm just wondering how traffic works, what's their plan if you have an area maybe where there's a kind of a regular problem, I know they can bring like a speeding sign.
Mhm, yep.
It doesn't work quite as well as.
Sometimes it just gets them going faster, right? They're just like, oh, sweet, going fast.
Fantastic.
When I was 16, I used to.
So I just.
Statute of limitations. Yeah, that's a good question. So we do have a full-time motor squad. There's 10 of them. We used to have many more. So you're not wrong. We used to have, I think, almost double that at one point. You know, we did. So everybody knows, like the 2021, we lost like about 100 officers in that year, and so we've been slowly recovering for that. I think at this point we're almost fully staffed again. That's about right?
Are we getting more?
I think, I don't know, but I know that the city is very much invested in like making sure that we have enough officers for our city. So I would imagine just with like, you know, as the need rises, so will the amount of officers. So, but we did have a bigger motor unit back in 2020-ish, maybe right before that. So right now we have 2 full-time squads, 10 officers, 5 per squad, and 2 sergeants. And so they have to do everything in the entire city of Salt Lake, right? So the best way to get them out to your neighborhood if you have issues is to do a speed request. So you can either go online or you can do it through the SLC mobile app. So keep in mind that again, they're just 2 units and they're a day shift and an afternoon shift, and they're for the whole city. So if you put one in, it might take a second for them to get out there, or to get back to you. But that kind of drives them where they need to go. So if you put in like, if your neighborhood's seeing a lot of speeding and you're like, and it's kind of a neighborhood road, they're not necessarily going to know about like inner neighborhood roads that have a lot of speeding. We're going to hit like Sunnyside and 17th and 21st, like the big ones, right? And so if you let them know where you're having the speeding issues, they can definitely come out and do what we call directed enforcement. And they'll come out and, you know, bang out like 10 citations in an hour in your neighborhood, you know? So just don't speed if you do that, because that's happening, you know? So yeah, just it's called Speed Watch. You can even just Google like SLCPD Speed Watch, and you send them an email with kind of the information. So yeah.
Especially the construction.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Way in the back first, because he had his hand up first. Yes, you. Yeah.
I don't know enough structure to really understand what the objective was.
Gotcha. That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know all the answers to it, to be 100% honest. I'm just a low-level nobody. But I do know that, yes, they are restructuring to commander positions. They're going to be somewhat similar in captain positions with maybe a little bit added responsibilities. That's about as much as I know. Like, I think it's just, they're just trying to like move towards a specific vision of like what they want the department's structure to be. Will that affect the citizens in any way? No, not at all. Yeah, not at all. Sir, then you.
So this might affect the Sugar House Park. We talked about this before. We talked about the actual use of words. Yeah, we have rules in the park, we enforce the rules. So why is no one down there enforcing the speed rules, dangerous driving? You know, we just talked about traffic being working morning and afternoon. Often we go there walking in the evening. I can guarantee that 90+% of the cars are speeding. There are motorbikes that are putting wheelies, doing crazy stuff. Yep. And, you know, if you want me to hold your coat while you write tickets, I'll do that. There's someone down there.
Yeah.
It's like a race home.
Yeah, Sugar House Park is very unique. So it's unique in the sense that it's somewhat private, it's somewhat county, and it's somewhat city. So it's very unique. So I'm actually, to your, I guess kind of to your point, I'm actually going to be meeting with the Sugar House Park board. Is that what you call them?
Authority.
Yeah, authority board. There we go. I'm going to be meeting with them very soon, and we're going to talk about some of these issues that we're having and what we can do to kind of help mitigate them. But it is very unique in the sense that there are certain things that we can't enforce there because it is private property. So there are some, and I have to get with, like, I don't know all the ins and outs of Sugar House Park because it's not something that we deal with a ton, that I deal with personally. So that's why I'm having this meeting, so I can kind of learn what we need to do to solve some of these problems. Because, you know, I'm sure there's things we can do, but I just need to understand what they are, and then we need to go forward with that. So I'm going to be meeting with like my lieutenant, the Sugar House Authority Board, and we're going to kind of like three-way that and figure out like what we can do to take care of some of those issues. No, it's just going to be just a regular meeting. Like
You can go. You're welcome.
so, it's not going to be a board meeting. That's different than their board meeting. But what I'm going to do specifically with them is not going to be public. But the board meetings, I'm assuming, are public. Yeah, it's a good point. And like I said, I'm working on it. So just
Can I ask a question? Yeah. George, when are the Sugar House Park Authority meetings? They third Thursday, second Thursday of the month, something like that. We'll find out.
yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, for sure. But I am going to work on it. So just understand there's one of me and like 17 different things pulling me different directions. But I actually emailed them today. So working on it. Sir. Or well, somebody had a question over here. Hugh, yeah.
So I own a couple businesses in Sugar House. One of the facts is the SI. And I do wonder, who's in charge of controlling that? Like, what are the rules? Because a lot of the people we see that are committing crimes, vandalizing our buildings, will run them out of Fairmont Park, and they just go a little ways down the track.
Yeah.
And then, like, behind Dancing Crane last night, they cut a hole in the fence. They're in there, got the trespassing signs up, police come and like, what are we gonna do? And so, who controls the SI? Because to me, it seems like not the only people that use it are the criminals going from State Street to Fairmont Park.
Yeah, S-Line's a tough one too. So S-Line is UTA property and Salt Lake City property. So if you call in an issue on the S-Line, make sure you're specific, and it's never on the tracks, right? So just be specific that it's on the trail so that you don't get pushed back and forth between UTA PD and Salt Lake City PD, because that happens, which is super frustrating, right? When you're trying to report something, you keep going back and forth with dispatches, or an officer calls you, is like, oh, that's not our area, you know. So just be very specific, like, hey, this happened on the trail, opposed to the track side. If it's the track side, then technically it is UTA. So, like, for instance, if there was like, I don't know, someone got hit on the tracks or something, they would respond to that. But if pretty much, my understanding is pretty much everything off. Is that your understanding? Everything off the tracks is Salt Lake City property.
But does anybody just control?
So yeah, so we do as best we can. So our bike unit, the East Side bike unit or the Liberty bike unit, was patrolling Fairmont and the S-Line quite regularly for a while. We recently had a major operation in Liberty Park to help get that under control. So we kind of pulled all our resources to that over the last few weeks. So that's why it's kind of suffered more lately, but that's kind of ramping down now, and we're kind of starting to go back to like regular operations with our bike units. Like we pulled every bike unit in to help with that, with the Liberty Park stuff.
I noticed the S-Line, particularly like the last 3 or 4 days, it's been bad.
Yeah.
Fairmont Park has been bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just wasn't sure how it worked.
Yeah, so we try to get our bike unit because they're not call responsive. So they have time to like go down there, spend some time, make contact with people, see if they got warrants, things like that. They have time to do that stuff. Patrol has less time to do that generally, especially like summertime right now where they're just kind of call to call. But I still want you to call in the issues because I want to be able to, if you have a business and you reach out to me like, hey man, come out and do a set kit, I can go through and look at like a 5-year crime pattern and go, oh, like, yeah, he's having a lot of issues with like this, and this. So it helps me with that still.
Okay.
So.
And the response is always quick.
Yeah, and if you have the signs, if you have our signs, our specific signs and you're part of that program, I always say like number one, make sure you let dispatch know, because then the officers know like, oh, these are our signs. Because we can take action generally. So again, each officer has their discretion, right? They don't have to necessarily make an arrest, but if you as the business owner are calling in, you can say like, hey, like we've had a major issue. Like if you can, I'd really appreciate you like either giving a citation or making a physical arrest or something, because they're not like, they keep coming back, you know? Let them know that, because sometimes patrol officers come from like the west side to respond to calls out here. They don't necessarily know that your business has been having these major issues constantly, right? So the more information you can give, the better for our patrol. And again, you got to remember, like we're a big department. We have about 600-700 people. You know, at any given time, we probably got about 30, 40 officers on duty and patrol across this. Well, maybe like 20 to 30 officers on duty across the city. We're going all over the place, depending on like the priority of calls and things like that. So, you know, we're not going to necessarily know every place we're going to. So yeah, just the more information you can give, the better. And then again, on the back end, reach out to me, Detective at CD. We can come out and like look at it from the other side of like, okay, what else can we do to make this not a desirable place to hang out, or cut fences and things like that. Yeah. Yes.
I live on 17 East, and we're seeing more electric bikes that are in the road, in the lane, acting like they're cars. we're seeing side by side, you see golf carts going
Yeah.
down. Who do we call, what do we do, set up like
Well,
road traffic, I don't know.
so any one of those vehicles you just mentioned could possibly be illegal to be in the roadway driving. So golf carts generally are not, but golf carts can be street legal if they have like the blinkers, the brake lights. They can go a certain amount of speed. They can be street legal. Side by sides are 100% street legal now. Like you can drive a side by side on the road now in Salt Lake County. It's been that way for about like 4 or 5 years now. Well, you couldn't before. So like that's.
Some of these don't even have license plates. I'm like,
Well, they're supposed to, right? So like that means that's no different than like if someone's driving a car that's not registered. It's basically that level of, but they can be on the street legally. So, and then what was the other one? Oh, bicycles. So generally they're supposed to be in the bike lane, right? But again, a bicyclist can be in the lane, like technically by city statute. So if there is no bike lane, they can be in the lane. Technically.
there is a bike lane, and they do exceed the speed limit of 20 miles an hour consistently.
You through the neighborhood, you mean?
And they don't stop at the stop sign.
Yeah, so these would be good to put on like that, the speed watch that I was talking about. It doesn't have to just be speed. It can be like stop sign violation, any kind of traffic violation that you're like, man, this is happening a lot in my specific area. Put it on the speed watch to the motors unit so they can come out and do a directed enforcement of like, I'm gonna watch this stop sign and see, go write some citations, you know? So other than that, to be 100% honest, there's not a better resource because if you do call it into patrol, by the time we get there, there's no way that, even if we responded in like 2 minutes, they're not gonna be there. Like they're gonna be, 2 miles down the road. So it's just one of those like crappy conundrums, But again, the speed watch though, they can come out and do directed enforcement and sit there and watch, and then they'll catch them. Does that make sense? Yeah. I saw another question somewhere. No? And we're a lively group tonight, man. This is the most questions I've ever got at Sugar House. I'm sweating over here.
Yeah, you're lucky you're so
I know it doesn't have nothing to do with this big, this big band. Really short.
You want to say anything, Emily?
No other questions? Okay, awesome.
You sure? Yeah. Okay.
She's gonna reach out by email.
Okay. Chill. Okay. All right.
Okay. Well. Oh, I have another question. Yeah.
What about loose dogs?
Yeah, that's a tough one because that's really an animal control problem. That's an animal control problem for the most part. If you call in during like business hours, they'll usually respond pretty quick. But on the PD side of it, we don't really deal with animal issues very often, if ever. We usually, even if our dispatch gets that, they usually just send it over to animal control to respond to. Now, if it's like, I think if it's bitten someone or is like actively attacking, then obviously we will respond on that first, and then we'll get animal control out there because we usually can respond faster than them because we contract with the county, so they could be in Magna or something like that. But if it's just like loose dogs running around, most likely that's just gonna go straight to animal control to deal with.
So, like in the past week, I actually have 2 golden, so we're spreading the love out there. And was walking past the health food store on 21st South. There's a gentleman in there sitting in the alcove, and his dog came at me and my dog, and I said, "Hey, it's your dog," and I thought about kicking his foot because he wasn't with it. He eventually got with it, but he wasn't. I mean, it's a sad situation, but it's like you need to be responsible.
Yeah, for sure. So you could call something like that to dispatch, and if they can send an officer, then they will. Or if not, it'll go to animal control. But either way, you could do that because we deal with like dog bites and attacks and things like that. So we may not necessarily write the citation, but we'll come out so we can get there quick enough to get everything like under control, and then we'll have animal control come out because we don't really have tools to deal with like aggressive dogs trying to. Like my tools either like tase it or shoot it. So we don't want to do that if we can help it. So like, we don't have the standoff tools with dogs. So, or punch it maybe, that'd be kind of cool. But I'm not advocating hitting animals. Okay, everybody calm down. Yeah, sir. No, we do. We just contract with Salt Lake County. So they're us. We contract with them, but it's just we don't have a Salt Lake City animal control. We contract with Salt Lake County, but they're still us. It's just contracted. That's all. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, it was great to see everybody tonight. Let me know if you need anything.
Brandon, you ready? We're gonna have the Sugar House Chamber come up. And then we're gonna hear a little bit about Kimmy's Chop House.
Hello, everybody. Your friendly Sugar House Chamber once again. Good to see you all again. It's been a couple months. We had to recover from Sugar House Pride because we were all a little, as Emily knows, wiped out after that. So we're here to tell you about our next event in the area, hosted right here at the Neighborhood Hive. It's the neighborhood bash with the 3rd annual Bonnie Ball and Sugar House Rocks. So we're kind of combining efforts to try and, raise support for local businesses and some of the nonprofits that support Utah's wildlife. So we'll have a mix of all of those out here. There's going to be live music. As you can see, a beer garden. It's free. There's a kid zone. So it's sort of fun for everybody. So then, any questions? Yes. It'll across the street at the Mountain America because they'll be closed. So you can park across there. Or if you're going to be drinking, consider riding a bike or taking Ubers. Or ride the bus. Whatever your preferred mode of transportation is. All right, so Mark's going to come up and he's got some exciting news about a cool new business in the Sugar House area. Show up to August 24th.
Hi, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Mark Isaac. I'm up to another caper and Sugar House. This one's a little different. We, some partners and I have taken over Kimmy's Oyster and Chop House in the old post office. It'll be called Sugar House Station because in 1939, it was called Sugar House Station as a post office when it opened. We did a little name search and it was all available. So we'll launch a website next week and it'll be Salt Lake City's first bar hall. We got our liquor permit on July 31st, which I got news for you. That was the hardest thing I've ever done. We literally were working on that since January to transfer Kimmy's bar license. For those of you that don't know, Kimmy had a bar license and a restaurant license in the building. And when she opened, the state took her bar license away because it was next to Sprague Library. But she'd spent a couple $1 million on TIs and invested in a lease. And anyway, she sued the state and won. So her lease is grandfathered. So we've had to sell liquor and buy liquor from the state of Utah every week since January. And we've just had the front doors open on Thursdays from 6 to 9, and it's cost us a fortune buying all our friends' drinks. But we kept the liquor license active and we secured the transfer of the permit. So then we looked in Sugar House and we said, well, shoot, we don't have any Greek dining. And so we said to Jeff, and Jeff owned the Ristos up at the university for 30 years. I said, can we talk you into opening a Ristos? And he said, yes. Right. So then we approached Canella's family and said, you were an institution on 5th South and 2nd East for years and years and years. Would you be interested in partnering with us and opening in Sugar House? And they said, yes. So then we started getting a little bit of traction. So Proper Burgers is coming. Nano's Pizza. Publix is doing breakfast and coffee just in the mornings. And then we've got the Birdhouse. So there'll be 6 food stations and 4 bar stations. Cassatt Wine and Champagne. Kimmy's is gonna, as an homage to her always being there and kind of breaking the mold, is gonna do a martini bar and a raw bar, oysters on the half shell, shrimp cocktails and things. And so she'll do martinis. And then the HSL Handle Boys come out of Park City and they're going to do an Amaro bitter bar, Scotch and whiskey bar. And then the 3 other knuckleheads that I'm partners with, we're going to open Sugar House Station, which will be beers from around the world. So the premise is this: in Sugar House, it's hard for a lot of people to drive in and out of there right now. But the idea is you have so much choice. You can come down to Sugar House. I don't know if any of you have tried Scoville's or spent any time in Hopkins lately or spent any time. They're all jamming. They're all super busy. People are coming back in droves. And I think it's a really, really positive sign. We got Boyer and Thackeray, who own the shopping center and the building, to agree to dedicate 2 or 3 stalls in front of our building for Uber and Lyft only. And we're trying to influence a ride share area in downtown Sugar House that'll benefit all the businesses. So the website will launch next week. We will start doing a week of each participant's food in September up front, just in a small little area. And it's just training staff, training kitchen staff and stuff. And if everything, well, let me rephrase that. If I get all my shit done, because I'm doing most of the build out, we'll open in October. And the idea is we're going to do live music, and it's eclectic. And we're hoping that people that maybe are struggling with rent rates around there could afford a slice of pizza, or, oh, I forgot one very, very dear friend of ours, Santos Tacos, will be there as well. So it's a fun, eclectic mix. We're really, really excited about it. We're bringing back Lori Gray, our great friend and historian here, has helped me with some old photos. And you'll see when you come in that the bars are going to look like the old post office stations where you come in.
Yeah.
So we're bringing a bunch of brick back in from the exterior, trying to bring some of that old kind of industrial railroad post office-y 30s look. So I'm really excited to see what happens, and I hope you all come and support it. And we're just following all these knucklehead developers. We think we have another fun idea. So
I think you have a fun idea too, but with all those places to eat, is there a place to sit down and eat the food?
wait till you see the amount of seating in there. It's enormous. So yeah, and it's beautiful stuff. Very, very comfortable and eclectic seating. Some people don't like armchairs. Some people don't like banquettes. Some people don't like bar stools. There'll be something for everybody. So thanks for a few minutes.
Thanks. Shane, you ready? Shane, ready? We have a new trustee tonight. I'm going to introduce Kim. She's going to talk about herself for a few minutes.
Okay.
As you know, we're all trustees. Well, I don't know. How many trustees are in the room tonight? You all raise your hand. So we all represent a certain neighborhood. It's all based on the population of that neighborhood. So thanks to everyone who does it. We're all volunteers, but this is our newest one. So come on up, Kim. Well, if you're voted in.
If I'm voted in.
I didn't see this coming.
Hi. My name is Kim Paterzo. I've lived in the neighborhood.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I've lived in the neighborhood of 10th East and 18th South. And I have a practice at my home, and I also have a practice in the heart of Sugar House. I'm a massage therapist. I've been doing it for 21 years. I've pushed a little bit and you've helped me out. When McClellan was being worked on between 2100 South and Sugarmont, I discovered that the parking was going to stay to 1 hour. So then I kind of found this guy over here. I got a lot of support from a lot of people, and the 2 hours was kept. And so I'm kind of standing up for Sugar House in lots of different ways too, but this is really kind of unexpected. But thank you so much. I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you.
Shane? What's the name of the business?
Well, me, Kim Paterzo. Come see me.
Sugar House. I'm in the heart of Sugar House. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So can we get a motion to approve Kim's candidacy? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Sounds unanimous.
Oh, thanks.
Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Bill Knowles, you ready? We're going to get construction update from Bill Knowles. Since we were off last month, this will be a big one.
They got all the
really important stuff sitting over here, so you're coming up after me, right? But I have been waiting for this for a long time. I'm now gonna do it right, okay. Yeah, because I'm trying to maybe get this and get a little mileage out of it, so I want to remind people that things do get finished. Things, yeah, well, I know, but things actually do get finished. And we've got a number of private projects that have been worked on and taking up space, orangeness and traffic lanes, et cetera, for 2, 3, maybe some longer years. Wanted to point out a few that are dropping off now that are now in business and being occupied. Just to remind us again, the things do get completed. One of those actually was 2, Izzy North, Izzy South. That's Izzy Judy. No, it's Izzy, okay. All right, and so that has, of course, been polished off, that lane on both sides of the street now wide open. The Gallagher there, I know, it's everywhere. You start looking at it. And now we've got a couple more, the Gallagher over there on near the streetcar station there at 7th East and Simpson. We have the station flats. I'm not sure they got one last thing to do there, but they do have a CO. They are open for business in terms of putting people in the apartments. They've got something going on in the corner on 9th East, right? And this is my favorite one. I've been saving this one. The 21s. Huh? Huh? We should go right over there right now and have a party after the meeting. Only 1 year and 2 months behind schedule on a 2-year project. I'm not sure how that's going to go on the guy's resume, but I think we're all really excited about seeing that darn thing done. And I drove through it here, I think Friday it was, just because I could. Drive all the way around it again. And yeah, I did. And there's people moving in and people going into the, actually one of the shops is already open there. And people are moving into the building and back. And I just was grinning ear to ear thinking, yeah, there is a God, actually. Yeah. So wanted to say that there's been a lot of patience needed here, and there's a little patience left to be needed. We've got a couple. One I'll touch kind of briefly on, Alto Tera. Now, it's a lot of noise, a lot of news everywhere on that. But I think one of the things I want to mention is, and Mark was part of this discussion, we had a, 3 weeks ago, I guess, a major downtown meeting had 9 department heads sitting around the table and all the new Alto Tera management and owners, actually, of the project. And it was a very productive meeting. Productive in the terms that later things actually happened. We heard a lot of the same things we've been hearing for the last 2 years, 2+ years. Me to the point of, I used to have hair before that project started. And anyway, we've had a hard time. This project now is moving forward. I know there's still some issues popping up in the media on financial situations. We're pretty confident these guys are on solid footing and moving this thing along. They have lived up to their promise and placed no construction parking signs all along Fairmont Park, all along Ash and down in the dog park. They are taking and hearing our concerns and taking them seriously. They have moved some parking into their own. They've got their own parking lot that they got finally some space opened up and putting workers in there. So there's some real effort going out on their part. We're not giving up as far as watching them and keeping an eye on things, not getting overconfident here, but we know at least we have seen some progress that we have not seen for over 2 years. And they apparently still have some hurdles of their own in terms of the financial situations that they're working on. But that project is about getting done. Not getting done, getting restarted, and someday in my lifetime will be done. The 21s has given me a lot of optimism. going crazy with it right now. But Sugar Alley is the last one I want to talk about. They're having I guess it's kind of a groundbreaking, but they're not breaking ground. But there's an event tomorrow afternoon with a major new tenant that is going into that building. And I swore I wouldn't say. I think everybody in the building probably knows it, but it's a very popular restaurant, a group out of Park City, and they will be moving in. They're starting to set things up like tomorrow, and they'll be soon getting themselves up and ready for business just after the end of the year. The project looks like it'll be early next year before it's ready for business, and that would include the restaurant that's going in on basically the southeast corner of the building facing Highland Drive, with a really nice patio out front and all kinds of outdoor dining and stuff. And you're up. You got all the good news?
I do have good news.
Okay, I know she does. I'm boy, these guys, and I'll just say this, and I've been on a lot of these projects. These guys have been earning their bread and butter, man. It has been something to see these guys work. Her team and the contractor we have is the best in the business, and they've been performing as such. So,
thanks, Bill. Thanks, everyone. My name is Stacey Adams. I do the public engagement for the 2100 South project, and I do have some really great news, actually. Following in Bill's theme of things being completed, we are super excited to tell you that 1100 East and 1300 East, that section on the east end of the project, is going to start the full road reconstruction next week. So this is huge news. By the end of September, that section of road will be completely reopened. We will be completely finished, minus some landscaping and some potential just kind of smaller punch list type of items, but we'll have 4 lanes back open. The landscaping will be done. All the driveways will be open. It will be wonderful to drive through there. And the crew will just keep focusing west on installing the brand new water line. So there's one existing water line out on 2100 South right now. We're actually getting a brand new one. So they're building a new water line. They're replacing the old one. The sewer pipe bursting project is going to be continued down through 7th East. So it's very exciting news for the infrastructure and the investment in the Sugar House community. So what is that going to look like? On Monday, you're going to see some fairly impactful traffic shifts happening, and they're actually going to be happening out here right at 13th East. So last year, there was a traffic configuration that I'm going to do a terrible job of telling you this, but I'm going to send you a map if you get our newsletter, so it'll be much easier to understand. But if you're heading west, you're going to have 1 lane going through 1300 East, and that's actually going to be in the existing left turn lane. So you're going to shift a little bit to the south and go straight. If you are turning south to get onto the freeway, you're actually going to do it from the other side of the median. So that shift will happen farther to the east. So by the time you get to the intersection, you'll be in the right lane, but we just want you to know that there are some impacts coming. So plan some extra time, pay attention. If you have concerns, give us a call. I have some business cards for you right here. You can text or call us, but we just want to let you know that that's going to be a change that'll happen for about 6 weeks until we get done reconstructing the road. So we're going to be milling. We're going to take off the top layer of asphalt, and then things are going to get a little bit crazy because you may or may not know that there are historic trolley lines buried under 2100 South. And not just that, there's also a concrete roadway. And so I hate to bring this up, but I am going to because it gets a little crazy and it gets a little interesting, but we actually found one of these under 1300 South on 300 West. And that was a surprise. This one is not a surprise. We know it's there. We are planning on removing it, but you're going to see a lot of digging, a lot of earthwork happening, and you're going to see those old trolley lines come up. So it's pretty exciting. From there, I'm starting to talk too fast, and then I'm going to start catching my breath. But the city has started doing, just one sec, a really cool technique that helps its roads stay stronger longer. And it's a cement slurry. So instead of rebuilding the road in concrete, which is extremely expensive and takes a lot of time to cure, it's very impactful to build roads in concrete. We have something that's called a concrete slurry, and it goes over the dirt road, and it actually makes it as strong as concrete. It sets in way less time. It's way less time consuming, and it's much more cost effective. So you're going to see some really interesting things happening out here, but that's why it's going to take us about a month to fully rebuild that section from 11th, but then we're done. We're moving on, focusing on the rest of the project. So that's kind of what we have going on. Traffic impacts coming Monday, so please pay attention. We'll be sending a newsletter out at the end of the week with a map and more info. I have cards, so call us or text us if you have a question or you need something, and we'll just keep keeping on. We're super excited. Bill mentioned we have one of the best contractors, and we do. They have consistently completed the work that they said they were going to do in the time frame they said they were going to do it in. So Sugar House got really lucky with this contractor. I got really lucky with this contractor, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I'm going to go for shoes in the back.
They are doing it wrong. And it seems to me if we're going to tear up stuff, we need to have it right now. Just air pollution. If you get on the about that and no mask. What mask? On the board. Ocean violation.
Yes. Is this the 2100 South reconstruction or the one that's farther to the east? It doesn't matter. It's okay. All right. Well, they usually do come out and water the work zone once a day to try to keep that dust down, but we'll check on that. And then I will mention the masks to them. Okay. Great. Thank you, Emily.
I live in a side street, and it's 10th East, and we don't have speed bumps where I live. So I'd like you to pass on some information that all of the neighbors in my area, I just finished passing out 120 flyers to my neighbors regarding the speed issue that we're having. And anybody's welcome to come. It's Thursday the 15th. Come see me. And it's for support. But the thing is will you please pass on the word that we're getting annihilated? Like our speed limit is 20 miles an hour. Yeah. We have people flying by, and I love the police officers, and I know they do their best, but you know, they're not coming at the busiest times because they're busy. And I get it. I get the whole picture, but we really, really need support. This is a bicycle area and walkable area. And will you just pass on the word? We're getting annihilated, and we're starting to not fight back. Of course, never, never. But we are gently pushing back, and we need your support.
Yeah.
So if we can get some signs or something, just let them know.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Kim.
Thank you.
I know that you are working with Keegan and some other folks at the city, so I'll reach out to them and just get an
Thank
update.
you.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in those threads, so I'm familiar with what some of the issues are, but yes, we can take a look and see if there's some additional
signage or something.
Yeah, I mean, our contractor, I can ask the city to see what the city can do, but I am a consultant working for the city, so I have no power to give you signs.
Okay.
I can make
But
you something.
Can you be? I thought about that myself, but
It might have expletives on it, and that's not very nice. And it's probably not effective, but it could be funny.
Both. But just maybe passing along the word so we can get more word, like, hey,
Absolutely.
for real, this is for real.
Yes. Yep.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Cards?
Yep.
Okay. Cards will be at the front. Okay, Sarah Luigi. And then Aiden, yeah, come on up.
It scares me to think I'm known.
All right, Sarah Woolsey, Friends of Fairmont Park, giving some love to Fairmont.
Sarah.
We've heard some challenges at Fairmont, but we have a botanist coming to Fairmont. Anybody who'd like to come learn about the plants that are put in, they're monarch friendly. Blake Wellard, he is a restoration ecologist that's hired by the city. He's going to come and give us a tour of what's blooming. August 13th, 6 o'clock at Fairmont Park. I know there's a conflict with some zoning tour, but 6 o'clock, Fairmont Park at the Aquatic Center. Come, plan to walk with us. Second, we had Adrian. Who's Adrian? We had a fantastic event with Adrian White, and she is going to do a video of her presentation of the history of Fairmont Park. Wildly attended, very popular. Thank you so much. Yes. And then last, we are collecting funds for anybody who glass recycles at our beautiful bin. We have had some vandalism, and to keep it pretty, we're having a little bit of funds raised so our artists can repair it.
So our goal is to raise $1,000. Mike Bagley and Landon are happy to hold the money for us so we can pay the artists when they do the work and keep the graffiti down. And so if you have $5, there's a QR code, or give it to me or Mike Bagley for the repair of the bin. We'll collect that and keep it beautiful. Or community council, what did I say?
It's not going to me.
Yeah, oh yeah, community council, but they're helping us keep the money. You're my banker.
Yeah, right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, so the next presenters are from an ACE mentor program. I talked to these kids, and they picked a spot in Sugar House to talk about their project, and they picked the Sizzler site. So we asked a couple of the kids that won to come and talk about it tonight. So she's going to talk about the program a little, and then she'll introduce the kids.
Hi, yeah. So my name is Noel Schick, and I'm on the ACE Mentor board. Just to give you a little background, ACE Mentor is an architecture, construction, and engineering mentorship program for high school students in the state of Utah. So we're in 5 different school districts, including the Salt Lake School District at East High School is where our physical location is. But each year we have mentors who are in the industry come after school and meet with students after school to teach them about the construction industry. And the students get to work on a project with the mentors, helping them. And we try to pick real projects so that they get real world experience. And so the project location we chose this year was the Sugar House Park corner. And so the students all presented at a final presentation, and the winning team is the one that's here to present to you tonight. So they've spent a lot of hours after school doing this program, and these 2 students both graduated this last year, so they're coming back to present, and both planning on pursuing architecture.
Hi, my name is Leah, and then this is Aiden over here.
Real close.
Okay. And this is our idea for the Sugar House City Park. It is a restaurant and event center. So the bottom floor would be a restaurant and the top would be an event center. And it is a little Italian restaurant. And this is a 3D model of the area. What the community needs is a space that incorporates what's already there with the beautiful area, with the beautiful park and the view. And then also something that's gonna add to the area. So we really wanted to add this like fun, entertaining area with a lot of live music and outdoor seating to really incorporate the park, but also add to it. So overall, our main goal was really adding to the area. Our guiding principles were incorporating the outdoor and indoor space and incorporating the view in the park and creating something that the community can use and love. This is a map of the area. If you haven't seen it, this is a picture of the view, and this is a map of where it's at, so you can see the lake and everything. A really good area. And then this is a floor plan of our first floor, which is the restaurant. You can see our tables, and in the back there's a little glass door, and it opens all the way up, and that would be the stage for bands to come and play live music. So there'd be live music outside and inside. And this is a 3D model of the inside of the area. And you can kind of see that door a little bit better. And this is 3D model of the outside to the outdoor seating, which is, we really want to be like a focal point of the area, just to really attract people to the area. And then this is the second floor, which is the event center. We wanted to keep it really open so that people could do what they want with the area. And then this is an inspiration board of what we would kind of want the interior to look like. We would want to really focus on wood trimming, just to give a very like calming feel to it. And then this is the second floor event center, our inspiration board. We wanted a very versatile space. And the outdoor inspiration board, both indoor and outdoor seating, is a really big focal point of our design. Live music and lighting to really promote a certain type of atmosphere. And then this is our wood trimming design, which would be a really big focal point throughout the building.
Okay, so my name is Aiden. I don't know if you caught that. So the building we're trying to design, we want to make it sustainable, something that can, not be over the top. So by using zero-scaping, low-flow water features and smart windows, we're going to try to keep water and energy as low as possible. If you're not familiar with some of these things, zero-scaping is a landscaping method that uses drought-resistant plants to try to lower our water usage. Low-flow water features use a lower flow rate of water to, once again, lower the overall usage of the entire building. And smart windows, our design, as you will see, has lots of very large windows, and we are aware that that can make a building pretty hot. So in order to be as energy efficient as possible while keeping the building at a cool and reasonable temperature, we're going to be using windows that will adjust the amount of tint according to how much heat and light they are absorbing. Okay, really quick, this is just a really, really fast mock-up of a schedule, which is, pretty optimistic. 5-month schedule. Everything works on the graph. And if you go down, you have a very rough estimation based completely off of the information that we had at the time of an overall cost based off of just the square footage. Okay, so if we move on, this is the final 3D modeling of everything. So if you want to, you can start with the exterior from the front and on top and the side, bottom right, and back in the bottom left. This is the top story as well as the entrance to the top story. Obviously, we have an elevator for ADA usage as well as supplies and a staircase that will lead to the top. The top is empty in the 3D design because obviously it is an event center. It is completely up to the person using it, what it will look like. This is a top-down of the layout overall. If you look, you can see the lobby near the front and the back is the outdoor seating. So the main seating in the interior, pretty simple. You're just gonna have tables, booths, the lobby, everything up to standards. The kitchen area, if you look to the left, you can see the storage area as well as the grill, refrigerator, and serving area. Near the front lobby, there will be a section of alcoholic beverages, sectioned off, so you have an area for alcohol and an area for families. Outdoor seating, one of the main things we wanted to incorporate was live music. We wanted something that you could enjoy if you're at the restaurant or just nearby it. There's a park nearby, people will be walking by, maybe picnics, live music, something that everyone can enjoy and promotes a community feel. And that's our project. We appreciate you guys listening. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we're going to hear about the Rio Grande Plan. I know it's out of Sugar House, but it's pretty cool. You guys ready? Okay. So we have Frederick Jenny, who's the Director of Engagement. Go ahead.
Wonderful. Can you all hear me well? A little too loud? I got a big voice, so I may not even need this, but... So, hello, Frederick Jenny. I live downtown, so not exactly a Sugar House resident, but I come here a lot because I love your guys' restaurants and the culture you all have. So, I represent Via Rio Grande, which is a citizen volunteer group pushing the Rio Grande Plan. Not pushing, it's probably not the best way to put it. Trying to advocate for the Rio Grande Plan. Thank you. So, we believe this is, as we say here, Utah's next big move. Can you go to the next slide? So kind of the meeting goals here. I want to present the Rio Grande Plan to you all because I know that there's a lot of sometimes misconceptions, misunderstandings, and sometimes people don't even know anything about it. Then I want to define the benefits, answer your questions, and then, well, I guess this is the wrong slide, but whatever. Oh, well, it's our drive. I had my computer, but it wouldn't work technically. So you'll see a little bit, basically a repeat of what the Salt Lake County Council got yesterday, which, by the way, they voted to endorse the plan. So that's a big win for us. So, and I'm a little worried that all the animations aren't going to work because Apple versus Microsoft. So you're not going to see all the really cool animations that I have. So I apologize. And hopefully the council can make the community council can make the presentation available to you all another time. So I kind of wanted to talk about kind of the centerpiece of this project, which is our 114-year-old depot in downtown Salt Lake City. Currently, it's being renovated, massive renovation, millions of dollars to reinforce it against earthquakes, essentially. It was damaged in 2020. We almost lost the building. It's a Mason building, and so it almost collapsed on itself. But the state, who owns the building, is completely retrofitting and saving it. But there's no future use for it determined after that renovation is complete. But we actually might have a solution. We want to do exactly what the other large cities have done. You know, we have Grand Central Terminal, Union Station, DC, Denver, Chicago, and then Cincinnati Union Terminal. And we have this.
The Am Shack.
The Am Shack, a triple wide trailer that sits in downtown Salt Lake City, completely disconnected from everything in downtown. So you get off in the middle of nowhere. And you really don't want to get off there, do you?
No.
Which is why North Temple Station has double the usage that this one does. This is our current front door. It's been a temporary station since 1999 when we left the Rio Grande Depot. We did that because they wanted to pull back the off ramps for I-15 on 600 South and 500 South from 300 West to 500 West. And 500 West is where the trains were. And you can't exactly come off a freeway right into a railroad crossing, can you? No. So they pulled up the railroad tracks. Our proposal, well, I'll get to that. Next, please. I want to talk a little bit about the downtown conditions. And hey, the gifts actually work. That's awesome. So the rail yard is currently underutilized that sits downtown. There's 2 more rail yards that are more used by Union Pacific, both north and south. So the proposal is to essentially close that down. 8 at-grade railroad crossings with 500 daily activations, going up to 800 in 2030, possibly up to 1,000, depending on how much the Inland Port Authority adds more freight and how many front-runner trains we run north-south through the whole corridor. So that could create multiple block crossings, and I'm sure anybody here been blocked by a train in downtown by chance? Yeah, all the time?
I used to run them.
You used to run them, so you understand. So it creates a socioeconomic divide in our city and creates essentially a division between the east and the west side. There are 40 to 50,000 cars that go over just the grade crossings. If you add in the viaducts, it's 160,000 cars moving between the east and the west sides daily. Emergency services have to account for the tracks. I was just talking to the firemen who were here earlier. They can only go over to go from the east side of the city to the west side of the city. They can only use the bridges. So that's North Temple, 400 South, and 13 South. That means if you need help on, say, 900 West and 800 South, they're either coming from 400 or they're coming up from the other way. So the project could reduce response time. So we also lack a world-class station, as you saw previously. I'd like to go to the next one. This one would have been so much cooler if I had animation, but you get to see the train box in action, and it's all a little messed up, but that's Apple and Microsoft. They just don't get along. So what is the Rio Grande Plan? It's a proposal to take the railroad tracks and move them under 500 West by using a cut and cover tunnel. Essentially build a giant trench, build the railroad tracks and cover it over, and then nobody has to see the railroad tracks. And the trains can move through downtown without affecting anybody on the surface. If you see right here, this is Reno, Nevada. Reno has one. Theirs is only 2 tracks wide. Ours will be 6. So the idea is to open up the rail yard for redevelopment. It would open 75 acres of land, which can then be redeveloped to help pay for the project. It'll cut back the freeway bridges, and it will return passenger service to our depot, as you see in this very small cut section where the depot is here, the new station where the trains are is here. So this can become the head house. Dang, that's awesome. Actually, I'll give Apple credit for that one. And then hopefully, either here or on 400 West where the tracks will be so the transfer can happen for people coming in from Provo, Ogden, or anywhere. So if we can zoom out and go to the next one, I kind of wanted to, and again, this would have been so much cooler with animation if it loads. There it is. So there are a lot of projects in downtown, and everybody's talking about them. There's, the baseball stadium. We got the Olympics coming. We have the Green Loop. We have the entertainment district. Temple Square is getting redone, and it's beautiful, by the way. Main Street Promenade, Tracks Tech Link, where we're going to get the orange line, and double tracking the front runner. And sitting in the middle of all of that is the Rio Grande Depot and hopefully the Rio Grande Plan. The intention is this will be the centerpiece and pull everything else together. The next one. So Apple. All right, economic benefits. So redevelopment potential, 75 acres of downtown land opened. The estimate, according to the city, which I do want to say, when we get the price, the city gave us one half of the equation, we're missing the other one. We got the cost, we're missing the impact analysis. Everybody's like, hey, but the impact analysis for, say, a freeway expansion is this much. Well, we don't have that part. So we get the negative without the positive. Happens. But it gives us opportunities for a lot of possibilities of redevelopment, federal support, those type of things. Not to mention the other surrounding acres that aren't railroad tracks will also be able to be activated as mixed-use development for transit-oriented development as well. It can be and the thing is, as the advocacy group, we don't know what this will look like. The idea is to present to everyone a vision of what this could be. It could be a Central Park. It could be large skyscrapers. It could be a stadium. It's not meant to be defined. It's meant for the people to imagine what it would look like. So this is the nexus of activity. It is where all of our transit nodes combine into one area. It's where people want to be and where people go. So I think we have one more slide, which is the summary. So Rio Grande Plan is a once in a generation project. Everybody talks about, back in the Olympics in 2002, we built the tracks. This can be our next tracks. This can bring us back to our history. And how ironic for it, the 2002 Olympics took away the tracks. The 2034 Olympics can put the tracks back. So the opportunity will diminish over time. Yes, it's a large investment. So are freeway projects, and those have no problem in going through, right? Large investment, clear public benefits, because this project is meant to be for the people, not for some developer. So with that, a QR code for our link tree, if y'all are interested in learning more, and I will open it up to any questions. I see one way in the back, and do we have an extra mic? So this is meant to be, so I'm going to answer the second one before I answer the first one. So this will take all trains through downtown, both freight trains, Amtrak trains, and UTA trains, and put them underground. And I think if you go 3 slides, if you can, 1, 2, oh wait, this is like the beginning. Yeah, it's repeating for some reason. Wherever this one is down here, keep going. Yes, this one. So this is a cutout of the box itself, 6 tracks wide with a service road in there so that we can have service vehicles in case something, if they need to maintain a train that breaks down or something like that. We have to have contingencies. So this will, just like today, they do run those type of trains through downtown, right? As you've mentioned, the hazardous waste type of things do already get run through downtown. This will put them underground and allow them to move through without being at surface level where the people are.
Can I make a point, since I used to do that work? Forever, all kinds of hazardous spray has run on those tracks forever. And the only other time it's come up before, I remember, is somebody brought it up during the Olympics about that was going to go through there. Yeah, it's gonna go through there because you got nowhere else to run it, and you can't move those tracks anywhere. You can put them underground, but you cannot do a sidewise relocation anywhere.
To give you a perspective, this is one of the major arteries of our freight railroad in the country.
4 directions.
Yep.
Going north, east, west, south.
So this is going to, there's a reason why we have a lot of freight trains moving through here. And it's because it's a major thoroughfare for the freight trains. Now, your second question, or really what was your first question about high-speed trains, that's not really within the scope of this project, but there is enough room here. If you notice, there's a buffer about 2 feet that they can put an electric catenary in there if and when UTA electrifies their front runner service. So could that lead to potential high-speed trains? Possibly, but that's pretty far in the future, and we need to make sure we have the station first before we can contemplate having high-speed trains move through here. Do you have a follow-up? They're going to be in the same box together. So the trains will, just like they do today, they're going to be right beside each other, moving through the city. Next question.
Have you all had any connection with people trying to like reopen the Pioneer Rail like up to Portland and Boise? And if so, like for projections for increased usage?
Are you referring to the Utah Rail Passengers Association? Yes, we know Mike very well. He works with us, and he actually wrote us a letter of support for this plan because this gives Amtrak its own track. And then there's another Union Pacific track right next to it. And we don't have the cutout of the station, but essentially there would be a platform here and a platform here, allowing for there to be possibly up to 2 Amtrak trains there at the same time, along with the UTA trains already there. So yes, it will be possible.
I mean, I'm all for the project, but I just wonder how you reroute the trains and how long does the construction take?
So there are multiple ways that we can reroute the trains. Shoe fly routes are a major way of doing it, where essentially you build extra tracks on city roads. For example, Reno did that when they created theirs. They basically built a temporary track next to it, then dug down, and then removed that temporary track at the end. That would only need to be necessary depending on how big the box is. Right now, the city is proposing that it goes from 13 south all the way to 600 north and over to 900 west. The original Rio Grande Plan, which was brought up by Christian Lenhart and Cameron Blakely back in 2020, only went from essentially South Temple to 900 south, allowing for trains to continue to be run while it was under construction. So there are many, it's essentially not infeasible. It's just an engineering problem at that point. So trains will be able to continue to run because disrupting the freight network and disrupting the current Amtrak and UTA would be quite a problem. So that would need to be worked out as the project went forward.
I'd like to point out, most of the time, well, until it's built and they put the new tracks in, the trains will run on the tracks that are there now that they've been running on since the 19th century.
Essentially, this can, part of this, with the exception of the former Western Pacific Railroad, right? That would be a shoe fly or something like that, area.
That's what I was trying to remember.
Yep, no, you're good. But the north-south one, that one would not need to be affected because the north-south gets built on the historic corridor, which is 500 west.
I have quite a few years, many years ago, working on the Senne tunnel, and that was a pretty big tunnel. And a few things that come to mind from that. One is it never ends on time because safety rules change. You're going to put hazardous waste through tunnels. You need to have safety equipment. That is very expensive. The Channel Tunnel unfortunately did that because when the train caught fire, one of them, it melted the freaking tunnels. That was how bad it was. So those things will obviously cost a lot of money. So that's really my question. What is this going to cost? How much get this going, it was great, but I just see.
And everybody's always concerned about the price, right? You know, there's a reason why we have a show called The Price is Right. The key, you guys can laugh, you know. The city's cost and impact analysis determined that today it would be around $3 to $5 billion. And just to frame that, the construction of I-15, the expansion of I-15 from Salt Lake City to Farmington, which is only 20 miles of freeway, is going to estimated to be about $4 billion. So this project would actually be potentially cheaper. That being said, thanks to the bipartisan infrastructure project and the Build Back Better bill, there's about $2 trillion of federal money out there for infrastructure. And $3 billion is a drop in the bucket of $2 trillion. So there would need to be, of course, funds from basically the state, the federal government. And that's why we're saying we as a group, if this is the project, if this is the solution, because we know that there's a problem, and the problem is a divided city. We are proposing one solution that is currently the only concrete plan that exists today, 2 east, east, west divide. So if we as one voice, city, state, county, we already have the county, and then our federal representatives go to the federal government and ask for the money, we have the Olympics coming, we're growing, this is feasible, there is money there.
So would this be the same federal representatives that voted against the bill? That's the one you're asking to go and get money for the bill.
So I'm not going to talk about the voting positions of certain officials, but that being said, I have spoken to quite a few of their offices, and they are interested in this plan. And all we have to do as citizens is ask. And we are looking for letters of support. We have postcards here, which I actually have. First off, our brochure. I have extras of these over there at the table. I have postcards, which if you stick around and write one and address it, because I have addresses of all representatives of Utah, federal, state, county, but we're really asking you to write the mayor because we need her to back this. If you do that, I'll put it in the mail for you. I'll pay for the postage, so you won't have to worry about it. I also have one more thing, stickers. So I don't know, I think am I over time, or can I answer some more questions? Okay, I see one, you had your hand up.
Okay. When you talk about we are presenting this plan, collaborated on bringing this plan together, I don't know who the we are.
So,
Talk about that. And you.
So sorry, I was going to use my big voice. So she asked who we are, as in like, and then she also asked specifically who I am specifically. So when I say we, I'm talking about the citizen volunteers working hard to make this plan a reality. There are about 7 of us who are consistent members, volunteers, who live in the community, who live in really the Salt Lake County area, who are trying to, I found this vision 10 months ago on YouTube. And I said, well, that's pretty cool. And I had the goal to be more involved in my community. And since I like this, I said, well, I'm going to get more involved. And now I'm talking to a bunch of people in a community council meeting. So we're just a bunch of passionate, mainly engineers. I'm a systems engineer. Christian Lenhart is a civil engineer. He's the one who came up with the original plan. Cameron Blakely is currently studying urban planning in Michigan. So there's a lot of us who are working hard. And all we can really do is continue to advocate for it and ask people. We don't stand to make anything off this, just so everybody knows. Like, we're not, as people say online, because I run the Instagram, they're like, you're just a big corporation who's going to make millions of dollars off the backs of the taxpayers. I'm like, no, I'm actually not going to make, I'm not negative on this thing. I'm just here and talking about this and wanting this project to happen for the people, for our history, and for our future.
In the interest of time, I knew a little bit about what you guys are doing, and as a lifelong rail fan, a professional railroader, I'm all in support of what you're doing. Everybody that has a computer, it was on the Salt Lake Tribune website today, the story. That was my, pre-thing before I came in here. Everything he's talked about is on the Tribune story with all the links and the subheadings and everything, and the profiles of all the guys you were talking about. I didn't know if you knew the Tribune had put it up today.
I did see that, and I didn't quite see all of the links and everything. I didn't click them because I was just kind of scrolling through while I was, well, not really, kind of scrolling through quickly, but while I was preparing for this meeting. But I'm out of time.
Two more.
Oh, two more? Okay. Yep.
And Derek, and that'll be
Okay.
Yeah, just one observation that probably nothing you want to address, but I was at a meeting, a couple of meetings recently, we have affordable housing. And it mentioned that $1 billion or $1.5 billion would go a long way toward providing housing for our young people and our kids. But we don't seem to have the money for that, but we do build hotels and we build $3 or $4 billion. That is just an observation. And the other aspect of any building that goes down into that area, especially one that's generated by the local business community down there, is you have the capital community services with a piece of property down there that adds a certain color to the neighborhood. And it's an issue that no matter how many buildings you build down there and how many people the Pioneer Fire Coalition and the people down there in that road advocate for change, I was wondering what maybe you could address of why you haven't found it within your financial realm to solve that problem.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the last part of that? It was just a little, this thing started whirling when you said that.
All the money that's being spent downtown on building renovation is all going around, which is an obvious homeless problem in Salt Lake City. And all that money, none of that money seems to be able to deal with that. No matter how hard it's tried. Is there some reason why some of that money isn't solved that problem?
So as a citizen, I cannot speak to the homeless population and how the city and the state is responding to that. But I know that it is something that the powers that be would need to work out. So thank you for your comment, though. I just want to make sure that you know that I appreciate that.
Like, I want to say back in 2020, we were working on a similar plan, but smaller. What's the difference in the momentum this time around versus 2020 that encourages you that this could happen?
Really, to be frank, it's the Olympics and the large investment in downtown that's currently being put in by the state. In reality, these, even with the $1 billion for a stadium and for a power district in general, there's still going to be those railroad tracks. There's still a problem with people getting into downtown by public transit. If you want to be able to get people into downtown, they need to have a destination to go to, a third place, if you will. And the station rebuilding, essentially creating the Rio Grande Plan, gives you that station, much like if anybody's been to Denver Union Station at all. I don't know if people have, but it basically did the same thing that we are proposing on doing. It took 20 acres of land and essentially pulled up the railroad tracks and built a bus terminal underneath and large office space there. And it is one of the most desirable places to live in the city because it has easy public transit access and people want to be there. So our movement is to basically say, look, other world-class cities, as you saw on that other slide where we saw Grand Central Terminal, we saw, Union Station in DC. If we're gonna host an Olympics, we should have one of those too. And this plan allows us to have it by connecting to our past. So does that answer your question? I wanna say thank you to everybody. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
So Sarah and Haley, want to come on up? And then last night, the Salt Lake School District Board passed unanimously to put the Highland and West rebuild on the November ballot. So we'll have them come in September to talk about it.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Barton from the mayor's office. It feels like a really long time since I've been here. I was out of town in May, and then I had a conference in June, but I was really glad that the mayor was able to come and visit you guys. And not that it matters, but I do want the record to show that you were the second community council to get the mayor to come visit. Not that it's competition, but if it was, you guys were second, and I fought for you on that.
Thank you.
I just have a couple updates for everyone. First, this is just kind of something fun for those of you who want a summer activity for your kids to do if they're driving you crazy 2 more weeks before school starts. Our comms team created these fun bingo cards. So you can visit all of the parks in Salt Lake City and get a prize from one of our park rangers. I brought physical cards over here on the shelf under the window. Next, I'm gonna get in the weeds a little bit on some land use stuff. And I wouldn't normally do this, but I know in Sugar House we really care about land use. So the city's planning division is looking at consolidating as many as 27 existing commercial and mixed use zoning districts into 6 zoning districts. And that effort would reduce the total number of regulations and really just make the language A, easier for the city to understand and administer, and B, easier for the public to understand. Current zoning standards were analyzed to be determined which ones could be combined, which ones were really similar and kind of redundant, which ones could be rewritten, replaced, or just completely deleted to make our zoning standards easier for all of us. So I have a website here. Let's see, will it go to it if I click on it? Maybe not. Let's not. I sent these slides to Landon, so they should be on the website. I know that's the longest URL ever, and no one's going to write that down. But it is a really helpful website that kind of takes you through step by step why planning has this idea, why it matters, how it'll affect us, and then how you guys can engage on this and learn more about it. This is just a
card from the city with that today.
Oh, good. That's great. I'm glad that you heard about it.
A lot of cards out, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is just a map of Sugar House, and you can see 5 of the 6 new proposed zoning districts would impact the Sugar House, the quote-unquote downtown Sugar House area. I have little 1-pagers that look like this. I know you can't see that at all. I have 1-pagers of both the purple zone and the green zone, so you can look at what current zoning districts are in those areas and what the proposed changes are and kind of how they're consolidated. The main thing to know is that most of them are similar height restrictions, similar setbacks. The consolidation is really just grouping together districts that are pretty similar. The Sugar House Business District 1, which is the purple area, which is where the Wells Fargo site is. I know everyone's interested in that. Currently that's zoned at 105 feet, and this consolidation plan would potentially put it at 125 feet. So that was the biggest difference that I could see when I looked at these differences. That would still not align with the developer's current proposal of 155 feet. So that project would still have to go through the rezoning process, completely separate from this consolidation process. So feel free to take some of those printouts of the purple and green districts. But there's also an interactive map on the website. So this is just a screenshot of that map. You can go through and click on each zone and see what it is now, what it would be under these new proposed zoning districts. And then it'll take you to a 1-pager of kind of comparing and contrasting those. Again, I know we're in the weeds, but I feel like this is important. I'll get to your question as soon as I'm done, Elizabeth. Thank you. Next, a couple of ways to engage on this. Planning is hosting in-person walking tours throughout the city to kind of highlight what these differences look like in our buildings and what issues they're trying to address with these consolidation plans. So the one in Sugar House is on Tuesday, August 13th from 6 to 7 p.m. They are meeting in Sugar House Park, just at the big pavilion, which is, you know, the road that goes straight directly north of the lake. Just at the end of that road there is where they're meeting. There is an Eventbrite place where you can RSVP. And I think that's really important because if they do end up changing the place where they're meeting to start the walking tour,
which I imagine they might because it'll take you a minute just to get out to Sugar House Park anyway, you'll want to get that information. So I sent these slides to Landon, and hopefully they'll be on the website soon so that you guys all can click this link to RSVP. But this is also just on the planning's website, which is slc.gov/planning. They're also having in-person housing. Wow. In-person open houses if you can't make the walking tour. There's one on August 21st and September 4th, both from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. And those are both at Sorensen Unity Center down on 9th West. And then they also have a public comment period open until September 15th. So you can email comments, concerns, questions to MU, which stands for Mixed Use Consolidation at slcgov.com. And just want to add that if you ever need help getting your comments to the right place, you can send them to me. You can call me and I will transcribe as you talk, whatever you need to make it easy for you to submit your comments. Here's my contact information for all of you. It's great to see you all. And Elizabeth, you had a question.
Allow for mixed-use buildings of any height that will then eliminate underground parking for those buildings because we're below 1,300 feet to a line.
These zones do allow for mixed use, but from what I understand, this consideration is completely separate from the Wells Fargo proposal. So they would still need to go through the
I'm gonna jump in and help out. It's a good question, and it's actually one that was just discussed at the Planning Commission meeting last Tuesday. They did not reach an outcome or a conclusion in terms of what the recommendation for parking would be as it relates to this reconsolidation of zones. That conversation is going to continue at the next Planning Commission meeting. But to your question, one of the proposals is looking at shifting the parking that is within so many, like quarter of a mile, half a mile of hard fixed transit, like the S line, that it would reduce, potentially eliminating the requirement related to parking. That is currently with Planning Commission. That has not been advanced or decided upon. So if you have feedback related to that, directing it to Planning Commission is very appropriate and timely as they're going to be discussing it at their next meeting. Let me pull it up for you. I know Judy and I were just at the last one together and learned a lot about parking, only to realize that it's coming back. And so it'll be their next one in the next couple of weeks. But I'm happy to pull that information and get it to you.
Thanks, Council Member.
Yes.
Any of what we're doing now bringing that up to date or doing anything with that?
Good question. So the question was about Salt Lake's master plans. We have a number of master plans for areas throughout the city. Some of them, as you mentioned, are 20 years old or maybe even older than that. Planning uses those as kind of guiding documents for neighborhoods, but they are not requirements or even things that the city is agreeing to necessarily do. They're more just visions that the planning division comes up with, working side by side with community members and city leaders to just kind of talk about what we want our neighborhoods to look like. A number of communities have requested that those plans be updated since they are so outdated. And I know the planning division has a really long waiting list for those. So they're good documents, but not necessarily the end all be all when it comes to planning how we want our city to look.
So the planning division, yes, so they are a city division under our community and neighborhoods department. The planning division director is Nick Norris. So he is our city planner and then has a team of planners who work under him to implement zoning and, approve permits and things like that. Any other questions for me? Wow, Detective Fallows really got the hard bargain here. Thank you. Two just really quick things. I don't know if I've shown this before, but this is our good neighbor guide in the mayor's office. It's really just your own version of the city website on paper. So if you're a paper person and want to stick this up on your fridge, I have a stack of these over under the window. It's also really hot, and so it's just a reminder to water your trees. Here's a watering guide here if you have questions about how much water to give them and when to do that, because we know it's important this time of year. Yeah, Elizabeth.
So I have three trees that I planted last year that I don't water.
That's great.
All of a sudden I get a $323 water bill for the month. And it turned out that there was a leak in one of my things, so that on me. I've now signed up, so everybody should know, go with a lot of help. All that I have will walk you through it. If you've got one of the new smoke start meters, then you can actually get notices and you can find out. So every day I check my water. But all of the increases, because we did such a good job, all of our water bills have gone up and will continue to go up. So we are turning around and penalizing people who have the trees that the city has put in, and now we have to pay to not get any credit for it, and it's becoming more and more costly. The right hand is asking the left hand, and we're doing double and triple too.
Yeah, it's a fine line. We do have a tiered water system in Salt Lake City, so when you're a high water user, those gallons at the top of the scale are costing you more than those gallons at the beginning of your water usage period, I guess. So hopefully this guide from Public Lands will help you know how much water to use, right? We don't need to overwater our trees or spend our life savings on it, but we do need to give them just enough to survive and keep our shade for the city intact. So thank you for your feedback, Elizabeth. Any other questions? Okay, thanks everyone. I can talk to you after the meeting, Elizabeth.
Yeah, they're moving it, so I'll give an update. Okay, all right. So generally, I try and be quick and efficient, and I'm going to ask for the Olympic diving approach, which is we're going to drop this off my record because I just have a lot to cover. So I'm going to try and do it as quickly as possible. Hopefully this doesn't get me booted from the end of the agenda. And then if you have questions about any of these individual topics, I would love to address them after the meeting just so that we can be respectful of everyone else's time. So here we go. First and foremost, we have amazing people in the city. I just have to highlight one of them in particular because he was here at the start, Detective Fallows. So Detective Fallows not only is the community liaison for here in District 7, he also works for District 5, which is kind of the ballpark area, like Liberty Park area as well. And in covering all of those areas, obviously they have a whole range of different needs and issues that the city is facing. And I just want to share that, number one, he has never once failed to show up at a District 7 or Sugar House event. So he continually prioritizes calls from us and from the residents to be able to help us here. Second of all, he has spent an inordinate amount of time in Fairmont Park recently to be able to address feedback that we've gotten from neighbors and residents. I've been walking it nightly just to keep an eye on where everything is. But shout out to Detective Fallows. He is my highlight of a City Employee of the Month for District 7. And just thank him because he does a lot for us. Okay, next up, Wells Fargo building. So I know that there are still a lot of questions related to that, and there doesn't seem to be a lot of information. So let me tell you what's happening. Basically, right now, they had always had kind of a two-part proposal. One part is to rezone that property for additional height, and then the second part was to then build a specific building with certain community benefits. So a two-part proposal that would go before Planning Commission. We have given feedback very consistently. Thank you to the amazing efforts of Judy Short in collecting that information, which has gone to Planning Commission, City Council members such as myself, as well as the others who sit on the council more broadly. As a part of that, they are moving forward with their request to create a new zone that would allow them to be able to build something on that parcel up to 155 feet. It has not been slated, thank you. It has not been slated for Planning Commission yet, but there is an upcoming land use meeting that Judy is hosting next week. Next week, 2 weeks? 19th, there we go. On the 19th, and we're actually gonna hold it down at the Salt Lake City Council office so that we have plenty of space for folks to be able to come and share their feedback. I think we're a maybe on if the developer is showing up, but I share that because I will be there as your representative to be able to hear what the concerns are so that I can reflect those in my questions in the work session and then my voting council. So that's where that one is. Next up, the zone consolidation. Hannah did an incredible job of covering it. I want to highlight a couple of pieces, though, that I know are important to the residents that can sometimes get lost in some of our city language. So first of all, when we're talking about consolidating zones, we are talking about specifically the business district. So sometimes people are like, does that mean my house and my neighbor? Nope, we're really focused in on that business district area. As a part of that, there is something that is very important in Sugar House when it comes to the business district, and that is height. And so height is a part of this conversation. As they look to consolidate, the city has taken an approach of saying they want to maintain property rights as they're pulling some of these together. So that is what lends Sugar House Business District 1 to going from the current 105 to the new zone would take it to 125 in terms of that. Now, it's important to note that's a proposal. That is not something that is done. It is not set in stone. And so you have a real incredible opportunity to, again, be involved, have your voice heard, whether that is visiting the website that Hannah shared, whether that is coming on the walking tour, which I think you're getting rescheduled based on some text today because the current one is scheduled for the exact same time as the city council meeting. And I want to be with you to be able to hear the conversations and the feedback. So Planning Commission was working on getting that reposted. There were some late afternoon texts. And so that website will have the most recent information. Second of all, parking. Elizabeth, I appreciate you bringing that up. Parking is another key aspect of what happens with zone reconsolidation. Our zones help to inform a lot of different aspects, parking being one of them. It also ties into some of our other ordinances related to where, you can have live music and things along those lines. So these are all conversations that will be coming forward. None of this has come to council yet. It is still at Planning Commission, but I know that this is very near and dear to the hearts of all of our residents here in Sugar House. So I'm giving you really advanced notice related to opportunities to both give feedback to the Planning Commission, to come to these community events, be it the walking tour in Sugar House and or any of the two events that don't require walking but are more so like an opportunity for feedback. Next up, okay, this is where it gets dark. So council members, here is what I know. Our chair is scheduling a discussion for August 27th related to council member compensation. As a part of that, I do not have a proposal yet available as a city council member to what that proposal is. If I did, I would be sharing it here. As a part of that, the city council staff is working on creating a website that we can share more broadly related to a lot of frequently asked questions related to your council members' compensation and different policies and ordinances and direct budget directives that are aligned in that area. I'll be really transparent. The council collectively of the 7 of us, we are not in agreement when it comes to this particular item being moved forward and some of the concerns. To be more direct, because of my background working at the State Board of Education with our teachers and as chief of staff, I have significant concerns about addressing elected official pay separate than city employee pay. And so in previous efforts, we have had those discussions related to going through the Citizens Advisory Board. That action has not happened related to this, and I have significant concerns related to the process and how it's moving forward. You are welcome to have concerns or support as well, depending on how you feel. But I will say that it helps me if you're willing to communicate those things to City Council related to reflecting what could be concerns from the greater community. Elizabeth just spoke about the fact that we are seeing increases related to water needs, addressing infrastructure in the city that's over 150 years old. We have other needs and issues, the next one that I'm about to address. So if you have strong feelings about what should be considered and shouldn't be considered related to a part-time elected official's pay, I encourage you to weigh in and know that I am all ears for it. So that's coming too. Smith Entertainment Group. So the Smith Entertainment Group proposal for downtown, which is following Senate Bill 272 by our friends up at the Capitol, is trying to advance and meet the timelines related to what's allowable. What that means is that there was a participation agreement that was submitted to City Council that outlines specific community benefits. That particular agreement is public. It's available on a website. It speaks to what is being proposed and is now with the state authority that has the opportunity to review this and then to be able to up or down vote it. So they don't have an ability to make changes to it, but they do have the ability to say, no, we don't think this is right, and then it comes back to City Council. Separate from that, there is also a conversation happening on the 13th related to zoning for this particular project in the downtown area. And then in addition to that, there will be a final vote related to the tax component. The thing that I can share with you that actually two parts about SEG that I think are important for our residents to know is first and foremost that when looking at this particular effort, it's important to look at it through the lens of what would our downtown have looked like with no sports teams. So I know that people talk about that in terms of being like, it's okay, I don't go to the Jazz, like I don't really care. But you should care because that is one of the key revenue sources that allows our city to be able to generate the revenue that we do to pay for basic city services. If we lost all like activity in the Delta Center area, like the Jazz left, as could have happened, let alone like not getting the hockey team, it would have left the city in a significant deficit that would have been an increase in taxes, like no brainer in terms of what's coming. So I know that anytime somebody says, hey, there's going to be an additional sales tax being proposed in alignment with the bill, that's not something that anyone takes lightly. But I also want to keep in mind that we're not comparing it to what if we didn't have a hockey team. We're talking about what would happen if we had nothing, because that was the other option until the city stepped forward along with the county and others to be able to fight for those teams to stay downtown. To make sure that we maintain that thriving downtown on behalf of the greater city and all the services we provide. The other thing about SEG that I'll just note that I'm particularly proud of, so you'll see in the community agreement that there's a lot of aspects in there that not just speak to our residents in terms of putting money towards the perpetual housing fund to be able to address some of the needs we have for individuals with affordable housing. But most specifically, we also have a lot of opportunities for across the city for our kids in terms of being able to provide free sports opportunities for them, to be able to provide them reduced and free tickets, to be able to engage in these internships, workforce-based opportunities, and other key aspects related to creating an environment of learning and support so that people grow in that space as well. So check it out if you haven't seen it already. It's worth your time. Next up, we have the capital or CIPs, which is where the city, in addition to the budgetary process, has an opportunity to look at capital investments and specific new projects collectively and some for maintenance related to the city. So some key ones that I can highlight for Sugar House that are positives in this sea of so great news is Sugar House Pavilions. The City Council is recommending that we fund the match dollars to the county for 2 additional new pavilions. If you haven't seen the single pavilion that's going up right next to the pond. You definitely should go check it out. There's an opportunity for us to have 2 more of those funded. All of those pavilions need to be replaced, and so we're doing it in kind of a phase, step by step. But this would be a huge next step in terms of securing those funds and seeing those translate. Livable Streets got money, thanks to Kim, Sarah, and a lot of others in the room who really reached out and made sure City Council funded. Livable Streets did not have money until we got that type of outreach, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Yes. And then we also have a proposal pending for Fairmont for a basketball court. Fairmont's an interesting one because we have a lot going on in Fairmont related to additional community investment and pieces like that. And so we've been talking to residents and neighbors about how they feel about putting a basketball court in there. If you have feedback related to that, please come let me know. You still have an opportunity to get involved. Other things in the city, we got the Olympics. Whoop, whoop. That was exciting and a way too early morning for me. I am too old for 2:30 a.m. We also have a Green Loop presentation that's coming forward before council. We have the Salt Lake City school bond that I know Landon said they're going to talk about, but I just have to highlight for all of you. So it is really important to note that when Principal Chatterton comes here, he is not allowed to advocate for the bond. He is allowed to tell you about it, but he can't advocate. So I am here to advocate. So I want you to all know this is necessary for Highland High School. So if you didn't know that, come talk to me. I can give you 20 different reasons that that school needs the opportunity to be rebuilt. It is way past its usable life. And so if you can help us by sharing with your neighbors that encouragement to keep an eye out for it, because like I said, our school officials are amazing, but they are not allowed to advocate. They can tell you about it, but they can't advocate. So we need other cheerleaders to help move it forward. We have the upcoming Sugar House Rocks opportunity that's happening in August. If you show up, incentives, we have city hats. We have signs that remind your neighbors to slow down. We all live here. And I'm telling you, so many of our speeders actually do live in our neighborhoods. And so it is important to be able to put up those signs free and not even charging. You could just take a whole handful and pass them out to your neighbors. Last but not least, everyone's favorite, city socks will be there. Oh my gosh. So if you weren't sure if you could make it, now you can. Come get your socks. Last but not least, I really need to make sure to loop back on something that Detective Fallows mentioned right at the start, which is the unfortunate vandalism that was faced at Sugar House Coffee. So Emily is here. She is phenomenal. If you don't know Emily, aside from being a business owner, if you have driven on 11th East going both ways, you can thank Emily. Because Emily made sure that our community had that solution, not just from being a business owner, but recognizing the needs of our entire community and all of our businesses to be able to have better access in that area. That is who she is making sure that we have solutions and a welcoming community space. She was the key lead for Sugar House Pride. The very least I am asking of you is to go and bring up the GoFundMe for Sugar House Coffee. And even if it's not in your budget to be able to donate, please just share it. That's what I'm asking, is to take an opportunity to make sure people know that this is a business that we care about. And we want to make sure that she's not on the hook for these unfortunate incidents that are at really bad timing related to the issues with the construction impacting business. So thank you. We appreciate your help. I have the GoFundMe site linked to my Instagram profile, and I'm happy to share it with anyone who's here. But we appreciate your help in getting the word out so that Emily and her business are not more impacted than they've already been. So with that, I am turning it over to Landon. Thank you so much.
Yay.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. We also have Trevor. Where's Trevor? Come on in.
Sorry, we're going over, guys.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. We skipped July.
But you should get cinnamon rolls as a good job to you. So we do have one other exciting update from the city, which is related to an upcoming Salt Lake City Art Council Award. And so I'm going to turn it over to our artist to be able to share more about what's coming and how you as a citizen can get involved.
Thank you so much. Thanks for staying and listening to me. My name is Trevor Dahl. I'm a muralist and artist here And if you've heard about the Wake the Salt Lake project, it's a biggest art grant that's ever happened in the city. I think it's $1 million from Bloomberg Philanthropies. And the city won, among with other cities, this money. And so they're using public art to address the drying up of the lake. And they've selected 12 artists, one for each district, I think. And I'm the one for District 7. So I'm way excited to have this opportunity, and I'm the only muralist chosen. We have to find a wall for this project. It's got to go in before next fall. Excuse me. So I have some leads. I've been scouting around, working with the Arts Council, and I would like to do it this year. Basically, if you know of any walls, or if you own a business and you would like a grant-funded mural, hit me up. We want it to be high visibility, basically a positive message about the lake. It'll be a painting of the lake with animals and this whimsical style that I do, and it says, "Together we can save the Great Salt Lake," and we just want to shift the culture. Yes? Yes, we want it to be 1,000 to 2,000 square feet. The grant will fund probably 1,000 square feet. We want the biggest wall possible, so some businesses have funds that they might want to pitch. That sweetens the deal for us, depending on the wall, but it's not necessary. Yeah.
I don't own this building, but the CenturyLink building right next to the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That building
Yeah.
is so ugly.
Yeah.
That's my #1 pick. I can't find any information on it. It seems vacant. Like, I don't even know if they're operating out of there. Okay. Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, that's my #1 choice because it's a huge wall.
And it's so.
And it's a dream spot. Honestly, a lot of people would see it. So, okay. Yeah, I have cards. Sorry, I'll put them over there. My website is goodhappystuff.com. Easy to remember. Same as my Instagram. So, yeah, thanks a lot.
Maybe one minute. So Friday is the Sugar House Art Walk, and speaking of Emily, so Emily's Sugar House Coffee is part of the Art Walk, and Emily is one of the sponsors. So am I. So is Commerce and Crafts. So please go there on Friday night and support them. She also has a market on Thursday nights for the LGBTQ community, and yeah, just go buy a cup of coffee. So this is Friday, 6 to 9. We have Ron's Records joining us this month, which is kind of fun. And this graphic was designed by Topper Horman. And it's on the time capsule that we buried in 2015 on Monument Plaza, thanks to the RDA's help. And his celebration of life is this Saturday from 5 until 8 at Start Funeral Parlor. So if you knew him, feel free to stop by. He was an amazing human, and he contributed so much to Sugar House. So thank you. And
Thanks for coming.
Okay.
Register's open. We'd love your help cleaning up chairs.
Hey, thank you for everything.
Right, like I said, so I've got the 15th on my schedule.